Alright, stick with me. We are diving into a world where humans and monsters fought endlessly. Until 1,000 years ago, a legendary king used crest magic to seal the monster boss in an epic clash. Before dying, he gave this power to 5 major families. Now society is basically a brutal crest-based caste system. Rank 1 makes you a god, rank 9 means trash. Fast forward to today, a normal city street at sunset. Meet our boy Zacha just grinding away at a convenience store. A customer walks in, calling low ranks total waste of space, furious that a rank 1 like Zacha actually dared to ask for money. The manager, brother son, quickly steps in to see what the massive fuss is. The jerk demands Zacha get fired right then and there. Classic arrogance, they head to the back room. Brother son feels terrible about it, but Zacha straight up quits to save him trouble. The manager sighs about high ranks treating them like dirt, but Zacha takes it coolly, grabbing his half-month pay without a single complaint. Unemployed but entirely unbothered, he walks out, finding someone waiting right outside. It is his sister, greeting him with the warmest smile. He claims he makes cash ghostwriting so she can just relax. They walk home together, enjoying a super rare moment of absolute peace. Zacha offers her ice cream, but she insists her health is way too weak for cold treats. Refusing to take no for an answer, he buys a strawberry cone anyway. She playfully teases him right back, offering a bite like a literal toddler. But that sweet vibe completely dies when she brings up his unemployed status. Ouch, now pay attention, this is where it gets crazy. The ground shakes, panic erupts. A massive spider monster drops from the sky, so much for safe zones. Grabbing his sister, Zacha screams at everyone to hit the Sun family shelter. Her fragile health cannot handle the sprint, coughing violently. With 0 time left, he tosses her over his shoulder, sprinting and thinking this is totally wrong. A major family territory should actually be perfectly safe right now. The beast looms over the fleeing crowd, a terrifying silhouette against the bright city lights. His only focus right now, getting his sister into that shelter safely at all costs. They finally reach the fortress building, packed with a desperate mob. Finding a neighbor, he asks why on earth nobody is being let inside. A smug Zong family official steps right up, loudly declaring a brand new policy. Anyone under rank 3 is strictly banned from entering here. The crowd understandably hates this plan and starts shoving. Zacha tries reasoning with the guy, warning that mobs are just easy monster bait. The official scoffs at his rank 1, accusing him of trying to kill everyone. The terrified crowd turns on him because finding a scapegoat is easy. The mob starts brawling over who exactly deserves to survive this disaster. Meanwhile, the guards just stare down at the peasants from way up high. So Zacha makes a crazy deal. He becomes bait if they save the others. The official is stunned this rank 1 has real guts. He quickly begs a neighbor to watch his resisting sister. Then he turns back to the guards, basically saying, "Your turn, my friend." For a second, it seems the official will let everyone die, but then he opens the massive doors. Of course, he gives Zacha a dead man walking glare while walking away alone. The heavy doors slam shut behind him. Mission accomplished, I guess. Just in time for the giant spider to leap right across the rooftops. You saw that coming too, right? Our boy turns around entirely unbothered, loudly taunting this massive killing machine to come and get him. Which predictably grabs its complete attention. While running, he realizes this entire attack feels way too perfectly timed, triggering a brutal flashback to being called straight-up trash as a kid. But he shakes off the dark thoughts. He does this for his sister. He leads it through the city streets, dodging fast. Out of breath, he wonders where the real heroes are. Cornered, he already analyzes its weakness. All part of the plan, the spider claws down for a finishing strike, but a massive sky beam blasts it, revealing a heavily armed girl. And she is not playing games. Rocking some serious dragon horns, she effortlessly blocks the massive monster attack. Then she summons a spirit dragon from her weapon, coiling behind her, ready to destroy this beast. Unleashing the dragon sends a wave of pure power, blasting the spider with massive force and engulfing the entire street in bright blue energy. Zacha watches the smoke clear. So what do you and I make of this? We wait for the hero to land and say hi. Let's dive right in. She's casually checking if he's hurt after almost dying, while he realizes she's a top-tier Mark 6 elite. The adrenaline crash hits hard. He starts stumbling just in time for that massive spider to burst from the rubble, completely intact. So she just sighs, getting ready to brutally kill it again because clearly, once wasn't enough. But looking back, Zaiachi is gone. He suddenly tackles her from behind, throwing her to the dirt exactly as the monster attacks her previous spot. He rushes over, asking if she's all right. They both look up as the beast emerges straight out of the thick smoke. She instantly realizes it didn't just revive, it got way stronger. Absolutely terrible news. Her hero brain does the math fast. One becomes bait, the other escapes. She orders Zaiachi to run and report the monster's new rank. He is incredibly worried, but she insists. She's a Mark 6, so this is her duty. Meanwhile, the monster roars wildly, clearly not waiting for them. Suddenly, the mark on Zio's forehead starts glowing bright, and our boy completely collapses, grabbing his head in absolute, mind-numbing agony. The entire world seems to warp and distort around them. The girl tries helping, maybe hoping to snap him out of it. But he just grabs her wrist, stopping her dead. She's totally stunned by this as a massive golden aura erupts right from his body. This wild light grows brighter and intense, swirling with pure power before condensing into a single, blinding point of energy that shoots straight up to the sky like a flare. His body starts changing, horns, sick armor, everything, leaving him floating there, completely transformed and honestly just as confused as she is. Now watch this closely. Upgraded Zio faces the monster head-on. He isn't playing around, and a massive golden dragon erupts to fight the spider. The girl's spirit explains they've basically fused, making him way stronger, so he decides to attack first and ask weird fusion questions later. With one epic gesture, he summons a bigger dragon. Then he drops a literal rain of 1,000 golden swords, aiming them all straight at the beast, turning it into a giant, furious pincushion. Wait. His new spirit buddy celebrates way too early. The spider just stands back up, looking more pissed off than dead. So Zaiachi decides to try a much more direct approach, charging a heavy punch. Throwing an explosive right hook straight into its ugly face, sending the monster flying into nearby buildings. This time it actually looks knocked out cold, but wisely they decide to confirm the kill. Our boy approaches the massive corpse, still glowing with borrowed power, but then that power starts flickering, fading out, and the fusion completely breaks apart, separating him from the girl, leaving Zaiachi to suddenly remember he can't actually fly solo, as he drops like a heavy stone. Right before he turns into absolute mush, a hand grabs him. It's the dragon girl catching him bridal style mid-fall. She lands super gracefully on the pavement because, of course. You felt that too, right? A totally awkward moment with him staring at her, blushing. Zaiachi awkwardly gets up thanking her, but she just flashes a smile, saying he was actually the one who saved her. Suddenly her song entourage rushes over, calling her miss. She takes total charge, ordering them to strictly focus on the rescue. Just as Zaiachi tries sneaking off, she grabs his arm. He's worried about his sister, but she insists the shelter is safe and they must talk. Straight to the point, she asks how on earth he fused with her. He has zero answers, sweating under her intense glare. Clearly not buying his clueless defense. Instead of an interrogation, she simply offers her contact card. Our boy jokes about getting dissected in some lab. She laughs, calling him extremely valuable, which he points out is a super weird compliment. Deeply impressed by his guts, she promises to protect him. Her subordinate interrupts. The master is looking for her. Annoyed, she takes the call, reassuring the person on the line. Meanwhile, that subordinate mocks Zaiachi, calling him absolute low-mark trash. The miss finishes her call, ready to handle things. She simply tells the rude subordinate, "You are fired." Leaving him stunned while Zio just thinks, I'm used to it. The guy completely collapses. Then she offers Zio a golden card as thanks. He's confused, but she insists, saying he didn't just save her, he saved the whole street. He stares at it, probably trying to calculate the credit limit, before finally pocketing the insanely generous and weird tip. With that, he gives a quick salute and tries leaving, but she watches him intensely, like she's literally seeing a ghost. Trust me, we're hooked. She actually thinks he is the key to breaking a cycle. no pressure. The scene shifts to him back home, checking on his sick sister. She's got a nasty fever but tries faking that she's totally fine. All right, jump in with me. He calms his sister down after that scary attack, sharing a massive hug while the neighbor smiles cheerfully. Outside, the exact same blokes who fought him are now calling him a hero. Even the gate guard is on his knees, admitting he was the real rubbish. Zio watches this pathetic apology without being impressed in the absolute slightest. Back inside, his sister actually confesses she feels like a total burden. But he cuts that off immediately. Family does not talk like that. To cheer her up, he asks for her famous soup, and she happily agrees. For one brilliant moment, everything is peaceful behind closed doors. Hearing a sudden knock, he tells his sister to get some rest. He opens up, asking who on earth visits at this bloody hour, only to find some highly official recruiters. Our boy puts on his cheekiest, most innocent whom he face. Then he fake coughs, asking if it is about the fusion. The song rep confirms their plotting, right before a cheeky scientist calls it a mutation that needs investigating. But a purple-haired girl steps in, calling their dodgy plans a dissection. Her counteroffer: join her family instead, dropping a very personal sales pitch. Meanwhile, the others are absolutely gobsmacked. A Mark I is wanted by 2 families. Zio loses his smile hearing those same old annoying insults. His mind flashes back to a life of being called useless trash, so he turns on the charm, considering both. Now watch closely, mate. A wicked smirk spreads. He is totally about to play them. This absolutely infuriates them, since he is just an arrogant Mark I. So he flashes his gold card, reminding them who is begging who. He declares he will go with the songs since their lady invited him, but wait. His sister needs a hospital straight away. The song rep agrees to a private clinic, leaving the other lot fuming. As the door shuts, they finally realize this lad cannot be bullied anymore. Game over. His sister wakes up utterly confused, so Zio puts on a brave face, promising her that everything is completely sorted. A massive lie. Outside, a red-eyed crow spies on their little moment, and the scene cuts to the luxurious Song family estate at night. Inside, a posh party is absolutely buzzing with local elites. A butler guides our boy through the massive crowd, looking completely out of place. The rich snobs immediately start gossiping about the dirty Mark I, but Zio just keeps walking, ignoring their high society rubbish. Of course, a blonde bloke blocks his path. This absolute muppet, young Master Kui, is disgusted a Mark I is breathing his air. The butler tries explaining Zio is the master's guest, which only makes the idiot angrier, calling him absolute trash right to his face. While the butler tries calming things down, Zio just stares, so the rich kid pours wine right over his head. Pure maturity, really. Completely soaked, Zio shoots him a look saying, "You have no idea what you just did. You and I both knew this was coming." The blonde braces himself, but Zio snatches his face before he can even blink. Pinned to the floor, the idiot completely panics because his powers are failing. A heavy foot on his chest really drives the point home. Now Zio demands a proper apology from this bloke, who cannot believe he is losing. Zio lanes in, demanding that apology one more time. Then he finishes it with a cracking punch to the face, just for extra emphasis. The rich boy starts bawling his eyes out immediately. So much for that fancy high society pride. Our boy stands back up, realizing these elites are utterly pathetic without their fancy little powers. But the blonde gets back up, glowing with a nasty red aura and screaming that it is over. Zio's eyes go wide. He senses something is going horribly, terribly wrong with this massive, unnatural power surge. Suddenly, the bloke's energy absolutely explodes. A bizarre golden mask forms over his face, and Zio connects the dots. That red glow means a full-on monster transformation. Fully transformed now, the absolute psycho smiles and promises to beat him to death. Then he tears open a dark, swirling red vortex right in the middle of the party. A giant demonic wolf head with glowing eyes pops out. The party is officially ruined, and the beast lunges forward, aiming to make our lad its very first victim. All the posh guests are screaming in absolute terror, completely useless as per usual. Even Zio is sweating now, facing a literal bloody monster. So the butler grabs him, trying to drag him to safety like any sensible bloke would. Our boy shouts back, asking why none of these supposedly powerful guests are doing a single thing. The butler explains that having a high rank does not mean you can actually fight. It takes massive work and training to turn potential into real strength. So what do we take from this? Lazy nobles are just fancy punching bags. Stay tuned, mate. Stick with me here, mate. They are running and spot a dead guest, proving the point entirely. This bloody demon wolf crashes down, ready to make them a quick snack, and Zayach's face says it all. Yeah, they are absolutely about to die. But right at that very moment, a complete blur of motion smacks the beast right on the snout. A pink-haired girl in a full maid uniform delivers an epic flying kick to its face, lands perfectly, and scolds it like a naughty puppy, because of course she does, right? Unfortunately, that bad dog is still very alive and absolutely fuming. She shoves Zai to run while she handles the madness. For a split second, though, he actually sees his own sister standing there instead. This totally scrambles his brain, which is completely understandable. His mind flashes back to that time he protected his actual sister from bullies in a dark alley. Snapping back to reality, the monster roars loudly, not caring about his little emotional moment, and lunges forward again. This time it targets the new girl, who casually summons a giant, glowing battle axe right out of thin air. She leaps up to meet the attack head-on, looking like an absolute magical girl of death. But the wolf blasts a massive sonic wave straight at her, knocking her right out of the sky. Total attack failure. Zachai can only watch helplessly as she tumbles down, followed by a massive cloud of pink smoke on impact. When it clears up, our lad has caught her, because catching falling girls is his new part-time gig. He holds her tight, asking if she is okay, completely reversing their previous roles. She is blushing madly in his arms, and he is just totally baffled. Meanwhile, now watch closely, that big bad wolf is back with a whole squad of demon pups, and the pack lunges forward in a terrifying red blur. This sends the utterly useless party guests into an absolute panic, but the maid's eyes are locked in, completely focused, without a single trace of fear. Zayo tries shoving her to safety, shouting at her to leg it out of there. Instead, she grabs his hand, and massive purple energy erupts between them both. This energy forms violent rings that simply shred the attacking wolves to bits, leaving a massive heap of dismembered monster dogs all over the floor. That main wolf stares down at the glowing pink axe on the ground, when suddenly a pink-haired bloke picks it up, loudly complaining about the color. Apparently, he has a chibai maid sitting on his head telling him pink is quite cute, and he just blindly agrees with her. The alpha wolf is not impressed at all and starts reanimating the corpses. All the little wolves stitch themselves back together, completely fresh. Our new pink-haired fighter realizes the monster can simply absorb them and summon them back from the dead. Now he is completely surrounded by this undead wolf pack, so he hoists his giant pink axe, totally ready for round number 2. He instantly slices one of the beasts clean in half with a single swing. You and I know this is just useless whack-a-mole, right? He still launches a massive spin attack anyway, because honestly, what else is a bloke gonna do? Right in the middle of this, the chibai maid on his head asks about spinning teacups. He promises to take her and Zachai's sister to a brilliant amusement park just as soon as this whole demon wolf business gets properly sorted out. With that settled, he launches a pink vortex of death, ripping the smaller wolves into absolute shreds. But the alpha wolf just growls, completely unfazed, and starts growing even more massive. Now the size of a small truck, it charges forward with pure, unhinged demonic fury. This beast lunges as a terrifying blur of teeth and claws aimed straight for his throat, but Zayo's eyes flash. He has been waiting for the main event. He leaps into the air, bringing the giant pink axe down for the finisher. Their energies clash in a massive red and pink explosion that shakes the whole room, and the axe connects hard, smashing right into the monster's skull. Sent flying clear across the room, the giant wolf brutally crashes into the far wall. Its massive jaws open incredibly wide, but it is not an attack. The awful beast is just dissolving away. This monster fades into blue glowing particles, leaving him standing over its totally defeated form. I breathe a huge sigh of relief, thinking the nightmare is finally over. Then the maid's spirit splits from his body, revealing it was a crazy power fusion all along. For a second she flickers and fades, clutching her chest in pain, but she instantly bounces back, cheering that they won, and jumps at him. She tackles Shocky into a massive hug, calling him Leiyuan, a name we have definitely never heard before. At that exact glorious moment, then a massive crash hits the ceiling. A new challenger lands gracefully in fishnets and wild heels, and trust me, you're going to want to see what happens next. This new girl touches down, asking if Kiyu is all right. All right, jump in with me. Wait, who is Kiyu? She spots Shy with the maid and gets super nervous. Turns out the maid totally knows her. She calls her Miss Luo and little sister. Meanwhile, Zohai is just standing there, completely lost with this whole sister business. This new girl, Yuyang, quickly clears things up. She is just an older friend, not actually related. Then she casually apologizes to the room for that whole demon wolf incident. Joyen tells Zacha they are heading off to see her dad, with the Chibai maid tagging along. Meanwhile, some super suspicious dude with a sword is just vibing in the corner, watching them. While they step through the crazy rubble, she promises the Sun family will clean up this mess. With that sorted out, she politely tells all the totally traumatized guests to get the heck out. Her staff starts herding the survivors outside, while she promises a seriously awkward PR press release. A bit later, Joyen finally connects the dots. That specific monster should never have gotten inside here. Here is the deal. A massive energy barrier is supposed to protect the estate, but as we can clearly see, it is totally shattered and crumbling away. Zayo wonders if he broke it. Then the maid Liren pops in to cheer Yoyen up, because honestly, keeping that moral support high is an absolute must right now. These three finally arrive in front of a massive, super sinister-looking door. Yoyen announces their arrival to her dad, and a grumpy voice just tells them to enter. Boom, the door slams wide open, and a literal teacup flies out at crazy lightning speed, smacking Yoyen right in her face. A perfect welcome from dear old dad. Watch closely, you're going to love this part. Yoyen is stunned, Liren looks ready to throw down, and her grumpy dad on his throne literally screams at them to kneel. But ex-Hao Kai completely intercepts, grabbing Yoyen's arm to stop her bowing to this tyrant. He flat out asks if this cheap little power play is supposed to be intimidating. The three of them stand tall against the angry patriarch in his giant empty room. The old man barks that it is private family business, telling the outsider to get lost. Zayachi, however, is not even close to being done. He roasts him for having zero hospitality for such a prestigious guest. Dropping that absolute mic drop, he just turns around to leave. He takes Yuyan with him, which makes Daddy lose his mind, screaming that those monsters were actually after her. But our guy and Luo Ran are already walking out, leaving Yuyan completely frozen in her tracks. The door slams shut, trapping her alone with her father. Outside, Liren is absolutely furious about that idiot old man, and Zayo casually notes their family dynamic seems super tense. Then, I know what you're thinking, terrible dad, right? Well, Lauren drops that he drove Yoyen's mom to death. Turns out, this family uses inbreeding to keep their power strong. Our boy is completely floored, trying to process this insane horror. Her mom was forced to marry a cousin, and entirely lost her sanity right after giving birth to Yuyan. All Zacha can do is stand there and absorb the pure tragedy of that story. Liren finally decides that is enough family trauma for today. She says Yuyan should really explain the rest of it herself. Liren pivots, offering a job from her big boss, looking super reliable. Xiao gives the classic "I will think about it," polite for no, so she switches tactics, inviting him to a highly suspect underground auction. She bribes him with magic jade that could help his sister. And that is an instant yes. His old outfit definitely will not cut it, so she forcefully drags him out on a crazy shopping spree, leaving our guy blushing pretty hard from all the sudden attention. Though he cleans up really well, looking incredibly sharp in a new suit beside her, and Liren's grand solution, just buy the entire store because why not? Right at that exact moment, an annoying voice calls her out for shopping with her boyfriend, revealing this new, extremely punchable-looking blonde guy and his random little date. Liren ignores him completely and just keeps shopping. Absolute top-tier power move right there. This dude then mocks her for liking pretty boys like Zoshi, and his face literally contorts into some serious, completely unhinged, furious anime rage. His girlfriend tries calming him down, terrible life choice. He just aggressively shoves her, screaming "shut up," and sends the poor woman tumbling backward through the air. But a sudden red blur intercepts her right before she hits the hard ground. Caught perfectly by a mysterious red-haired girl who literally spawned out of nowhere. She checks if the woman is okay, playing the awesome hero for a second. Then she flashes this crazy smile full of super sharp little teeth. This new redhead straight up calls the blonde guy trash. He handles it exactly as you would expect, throwing a furious, wild punch at her. "So what do you and I take from this?" She effortlessly trips him, leaving him eating dirt and looking completely pathetic. "Stick with me here." She plants a foot on his back, calling him pure trash. Zio is just watching, totally mind-blown by the show, when a creepy, glowing demon portal opens right behind her. And our boy recognizes this bad news instantly, screaming at her to watch out while sprinting to help. But it is way too late. Shadowy tentacles are already grabbing her, dragging her into the swirling vortex. The portals start swallowing her completely as she is pulled backward, but Zio dives in, grabbing her foot at the absolute last second. Meanwhile, Lurin is sorting clothes, completely clueless about this interdimensional kidnapping. The portal sucks both of them inside while she finally turns around, screaming his name, and sprints toward the exact spot where they just vanished. She arrives just as the last bits of dark energy fade out. Now the shop is just a wrecked, empty room with a headless mannequin, leaving her totally stunned and staring into thin air. Waking up in a dark, rocky cavern, Zio calls out to the girl he just saved. He lands right on her, noticing how weirdly soft the ground is. What an absolute gentleman, and she, predictably, is not amused by this situation at all. Then the reality of their position hits him, and he is a blushing, nervous wreck. She explodes in a fiery rage, calling him a total pervert. While he frantically tries warning her about monsters, she completely ignores him. Her hair goes full Super Saiyan as her power levels skyrocket. Now they are just standing in this bizarre fire dimension. What an awesome date. Sporting a shiny new set of monster teeth, she threatens to burn the whole place down. Zio finally connects the dots. Watch closely here. The portal beast actually dragged them into its own pocket dimension. Right on cue, shadowy tentacles start creeping up from the ground around her feet, and our boy spots the trap, screaming a massive warning. He shoves her out of the way right as spikes erupt from the floor, a split-second save with a heavy, massive impact. She lands incredibly hard. Totally dazed from the sudden tackle, she immediately starts yelling at him, because of course she does, but then she sees he took the hit for her. Impaled on those dark spikes, her anger instantly vanishes, replaced by pure, absolute shock. While he gets swallowed by the trap, she summons a fireball, watching it completely dissolve into dark energy and roaring flames. Now she is all alone, surrounded by shadow hands erupting from the ground. Her fist ignites. She's not shocked anymore, just incredibly ticked off. A blazing fire shield erupts around her, holding back the shadow monster's assault as she desperately tries shaking Zio awake. Realizing he is in really, really bad shape, all he can do is cough up a mouthful of nasty black sludge. Definitely not a good sign, but our boy's eyes flutter open. He is still in the game. Panicking, she begs him not to die in her arms after pulling that crazy stunt. Her expression hardens with pure, unbridled, red-hot fury. You and I know this trope. A flashback hits. He is getting beaten in the rain, stomped by classic bullies just for laughs. He just takes the hits, guarding something super precious. These jerks get bored and leave him in a heap on the street, so he just lies there, curled up and broken in the downpour, until a tiny shadow falls over him. Looking up, he is still clutching what he was hiding, and it is his little sister holding a tiny umbrella for him. He pulls out a squished birthday cake, wishing her a happy birthday through his bruises, which, of course, just makes her burst into absolute tears. He tries reassuring her he is totally fine, because that is what big brothers do. Back in the present, the red-haired girl gently touches his face. She insists she is not worried, just angry that he would actually die saving her. Yeah, totally believable story. Then she unleashes a massive firestorm, totally ready to burn this entire dimension down. Her rage erupts into a massive firestorm swallowing everything, and out of those flames steps Zio, rocking an epic new fire demon look. Apparently, he can fuse with people, and the girl is currently having a wildly impatient out-of-body experience. He casually explains she is only the third person this has ever happened to, which somehow makes it way worse. Using her borrowed power, he effortlessly shreds the shadow monster's trap. Then he tells her they can discuss the whole consent thing after they survive. The monster attacks with nasty shadow spears, but he just gracefully dodges right through the assault, while the girl's trapped consciousness screams at him to fight back already. So what do you and I make of this? Instead of fighting, he decides it is time for an interview. All right, mates, let's jump right in. First, he questions why the monster targeted her, and second, why bother kidnapping instead of a quick kill. He casually summons a little fireball in his palm, drops it to the ground, and totally misses the enemy. Right on cue, all those creepy shadow limbs completely freeze. They are totally hypnotized by that tiny flame. Xiaoqi gets it now. The beast is basically obsessed with fire. It only dragged her to this dimension to siphon her energy. With the monster completely distracted, he points up, revealing its true, ugly form hanging from the ceiling like an absolute nightmare lamp. And its core, a massive, gross purple sack that looks super easy to smash. Zio summons a terrifying bone sword glowing red-hot, bringing it down with a massive fiery swing toward that core. The blade itself erupts in flames, an absolute anime-style power boost right there. With one last epic jump, he drives the sword right into the weak spot, cleanly slicing that gross purple sack, triggering a spectacularly massive explosion. Once the dust settles, our boy just stands there coughing, muttering that he missed, a truly 10 out of 10 performance. From the smoke, a new silhouette steps out talking about a reunion. It reveals a creepy moth demon lady looking way too happy. Both Xiaoqi and the girl are super confused, wondering if he knows her. Her face twists into this wild, possessive smile, begging him to never leave again. Then she attacks with spider legs, but not at him. She literally traps herself in her own cage while he watches in pure confusion. He asks if the girl saw that, and she confirms yes, because she is not blind. Now watch this madness. This moth girl begs him to join her, looking absolutely unhinged. Turns out she is obsessed with the original shadow monster, not him. A classic, hilarious case of mistaken identity. Our boy is sweating buckets, totally caught in the middle of some intense demonic drama. Leaving him in a ridiculously awkward standoff with her trapped far away, and she has the actual nerve to ask if she did something wrong. Poor guy, this moth girl gets insanely creepy, swearing to drag him over, then completely loses it, screaming "My lord." Just like an unhinged fangirl. Meanwhile, Xiao finds himself completely stuck inside a massive, glowing spider web. Our guy smirks, conjuring a fire seal in his palm. With one flex, he unleashes a fire pillar to burn it all. This heat melts the web like it is absolutely nothing at all. He floats free as the threads disintegrate. The girl's spirit is impressed by his crazy control, and he casually answers by summoning a literal fire phoenix. Why not, honestly? You and I know what is coming next. He points one finger, aiming the massive death bird right at her. It dives for the kill, a truly epic attack. But the moth girl just stares, still calling him her lord. She actually has the nerve to laugh, claiming his attacks are completely useless. With a flick of her wrists, she prepares her very own counterattack, summoning an entire forest of dark spikes right out of the ground. These stakes shoot upward to form a massive defensive wall, totally swallowing his fire phoenix without leaving a single scratch. Zhao realizes his fire is basically useless here, and the girl asks for a plan B. He points out they are in her territory, and she has been trying to trap him this whole time. A super sly look crosses his face. He has a plan to use that obsession against her. Zohai's grand master strategy is finally revealed. He is going to let her catch him on purpose. Once her guard is completely down, he will go straight for the final strike. It is a totally perfect plan in his head. Meanwhile, the girl's spirit is having an absolute meltdown right now. He casually calls it a bet, while she is already blaming herself for this huge mess. This triggers a flashback of elders warning her about demons. But he thinks he is the real target, so he just stands there in the dark like a perfect, shiny piece of bait. This moth lady falls for it instantly, her shadow limbs shooting out to start the attack. They wrap him up incredibly tight, meaning the first phase of his plan, getting captured, is a massive success. She's so proud of herself, announcing she finally caught her precious lord, demanding he be a good little demon and come quietly. He is completely tied up while she yaps on about exactly how long she has been searching for him. But our boy has a nasty little surprise waiting right in his hand, a glowing red-hot dagger. With one fiery slash, he breaks the bindings and dashes straight at her, his eyes burning with the exact same crazy intensity as his blade. This attack connects beautifully, driving the sword right through her defenses. Her face shatters, completely unable to process this brutal betrayal from her beloved lord. Suddenly, the entire dimension glitches out. The scene snaps to a fancy room where she politely serves him tea. That is where we leave it, wild right. She drops the cup in absolute panic, wondering why the heck he is not responding at all. Then a mysterious foot kicks her aside, calling her a puppet that actually caught feelings. Let's dive in. A new mysterious guy stands over the moth girl speaking riddles. Back in the collapsing dimension, Zachai tries to process that wild vision. Meanwhile, the girl's spirit is completely shocked, asking if he actually knows this person. With the dagger still in her, the moth girl just lets the flames consume her to burn away her sins, while the whole dimension implodes. While everything falls apart, Xiao just floats in the fiery chaos. Then, suddenly he crashes into a fancy room, right toward the red-haired girl and a new pink-haired friend. She catches him with a huge smile, calling him incredible while he's still totally out of it, and in his hand, a tiny wooden carving of the moth girl, glowing faintly. This carving floats in midair while he asks what a mark assistant even is, trying to get answers about the patterns on the little doll. Suddenly, the thing springs to life, striking a dramatic pose. Xiaohe is absolutely baffled that this tiny toy is actually alive and kicking. But the pink-haired girl immediately recognizes it as a royal guard assistant. Apparently they are magic puppets made to serve nobles. You have service types, basically butlers for the rich, and then guardian types that bring their own literal army. So she asks him to guess which one this is, while he just dangles the little guy by his head. The red-haired girl just calls it an entertainment type, because it is super fun to play with. But the pink-haired girl gets completely serious, demanding to know where he found it. Zacha explains he just instinctively grabbed the moth doll, which is resting on his head. Now pay attention here. The pink-haired girl reveals he now has a contract with it, but there is a catch. She worries it might be dangerous, picturing a tiny figure facing off against a colossal demon. The red-haired girl apologizes for dragging him into this mess, while he just looks super chill about it. But the pink-haired girl insists she was just genuinely worried about his safety. Our boy plays it down with a smile, saying he still has a lot to learn, which gives the pink-haired girl a brilliant idea for his future. She immediately tries recruiting him for S Corporation, because of course she totally does. He smoothly dodges the job offer by reminding them they have an auction to attend. Then he starts dragging along a terrified pink-haired girl who is definitely not amused by his enthusiasm. He tells her to go change and mentions he already warned Yuyan that she was safe, which makes him pause. He suddenly asks if the red-haired girl's family is actually doing okay. The pink-haired girl confirms she already called them, and everyone is perfectly fine, making the red-haired girl burst into laughter from across the room. She teases him for being an absolute demon magnet, betting he will find another one at the auction, but he denies it immediately, insisting he cannot be that unlucky. You and I both know what happens next. Boom, perfect cue for a massive skyscraper explosion that very night, amidst the chaos. He is suddenly holding a mermaid girl calling him Shinky, right as a giant purple monster lunges at them, and she screams Jinx. Then she turns to him, completely deadpan, and asks who the heck Shinky even is. Zhou Chiaz yells that right now is definitely not the time for an identity crisis. With the mermaid girl in his arms, he sprints away from a giant shadow monster. The creature's single bloodshot eye is completely locked onto them. This is personal. He looks back, fully focused, even while running for his actual life. Then we jump back 2 hours in the past to the auction house where this entire mess started. Inside, an auctioneer is hyping up a huge crowd of wealthy clients, and from a private box way up high, our heroes are watching the show. The whole squad is dressed up, looking super sharp but deeply uncomfortable. X-How immediately complains about how formal the clothes are, because of course he does. The redhead explains the hosts are total snobs about the dress code. Then, the pink-haired girl casually drops that her rich friend Yuyin is footing the bill. Both Xiao Kei and the red-haired girl completely light up at hearing the word free. But Pinky quickly clears up that the offer does not extend to the red-haired girl. Sorry, our boy thinks it is too generous, but the redhead knows it is just a power move to recruit him. She praises Yuyin as an absolute business genius for being willing to invest so much. The pink-haired girl finishes the thought, telling him it means he is worth it. That makes the pink-haired girl sigh about how great being rich must be, and honestly, we all felt that one. Alright, jump in with me, this redhead is having a total meltdown right now, crying over epic ancient weapons she is too broke to buy. Absolute tragedy. She actually begs Zaiachi to buy them for her, but he slaps her with a harsh reality check. He is totally broke too. The fiery redhead cannot believe he is hesitating when their rich friend is throwing cash at him, but Zaiachi bluntly points out it is his money now. This leaves both the girls totally speechless at his shameless greed. Then, a massive noise from the auction floor suddenly grabs their full attention. Down on the main stage, the auctioneer hypes up the grand finale of the night. He rolls out a massive, mysterious object hidden under a heavy curtain. The big reveal, an actual, literal mermaid trapped inside a giant tank, a totally unique prize. Our boy is completely horrified, wondering what on earth he is looking at. The mermaid girl looks so defeated and completely empty inside. That is, until her eyes snap wide open with a sudden flash of fear, or maybe recognition. This entire crowd is happily watching a real person get auctioned off like an object, and a very, very dangerous look flashes across Zaiachi's face. The pink-haired girl darkly explains that sometimes the goods at these black market auctions are actual human beings. The redhead is instantly sick to her stomach. She then breaks it down for Zaiachi. The girl is a mermaid. It is an insanely rare condition called atavism, which gives normal people cool animal features. This is apparently linked directly to the animal phantoms that top-tier fighters summon up. Those animal traits are seen as a piece of the Phantom King's crazy power. Because of that, people with atavism are hunted for their ancient, locked-away secrets. But the redhead calls out the truth. You and I know it is just a cheap excuse for some weirdos to capture a pretty girl. This poor mermaid girl just floats there in her glass prison, completely broken and defeated. Their eyes suddenly lock across the entire room. A silent, desperate plea meets absolute resolution. So Zaiachi whips his head toward the pink-haired girl, asking if their friend's massive blank check has any sort of spending limit. She confidently gives him the total green light for it, no strings attached. The redhead instantly knows his crazy plan, totally impressed that he is actually using someone else's massive wallet to play the shining hero. Down on the floor, the auctioneer kicks things off at a casual 100 million. Instantly, crazy bids explode from the insanely rich crowd. Apparently, the ruthless Kai family is also in the race, which sounds super ominous. The girls spot their VIP private room from the high balcony. The redhead bluntly calls them all a bunch of absolute psychos, so that is great. Meanwhile, Zio is hyped to enter this money war with a total shark grin. He is slightly worried about the lecture he will get later, but hey, priorities. His fiery friend casually suggests they should just steal the mermaid if the rivals win. With the bid sitting at a staggering 310 million, our boy stares at the screen and hits confirm without a second thought. The auctioneer roars the insane new price coming from their private box. He begins the final, nail-biting countdown, going once, and then going twice. Everyone holds their breath, the final call echoes, the mermaid waits, and smack, the hammer drops. The auctioneer officially screams sold to the room. Can you believe it? Zio just slumps right back into the fancy sofa with pure, dramatic relief. His friends are so hyped they actually managed to save the mermaid. But then, a massive explosion suddenly shakes the entire freaking building. From the smoking, ruined rubble, a weak voice begs for some help, because naturally, a gigantic purple tentacle monster just completely crashed the party. It already snatched up the auctioneer, who is definitely having a terrible day now. This thing is an absolute cyclops beast, heavily towering over everybody in the room. And with the invasion alarm blaring loud, the whole crowd enters full panic mode. Meanwhile, the poor mermaid is still trapped in her tank, terrified. Zaiachi immediately screams out his new top priority: save her first. Their VIP box window completely cracks and shatters inward violently. So the entire squad pulls off a super dramatic leap right into the absolute chaos below. Our boy looks absolutely terrified while free-falling through the air. The redhead grabs his hand, just casually teasing him about the insane drop height. The whole team lands completely safely on the ruined auction floor, ready for action. The pink-haired girl steps up like an absolute boss, offering to hold the monster off alone. She orders the other two to go rescue the mermaid while she buys them precious time. Zaiachi shoots her a dead serious look, telling her to be careful too. The pink-haired warrior pulls a full magical girl transformation. She blindly charges at the ugly monster with a battle axe literally bigger than her. Meanwhile, Zaio yells to the redhead to move. They sprint toward the tank. That is where we leave it. You and I gotta see what comes next. He reaches her first, asking through the thick glass if she is okay. All right, stick with me. We are diving into absolute chaos as the redhead screams at him to move. She brings down her glowing sword with a furious strike, totally shattering the tank. Water explodes everywhere. With the mermaid finally free, the redhead yells at him to run while she covers their escape. Right as a massive purple tentacle shoots straight for her, she leaps into the air. She is completely ready to intercept the attack, and her face, just pure savage joy. She has been waiting for this. These two girls launch an epic coordinated attack against the towering beast, only to realize their weapons do not even scratch it. That thing's mouth is a drooling flower of death, and it casually swats them away like annoying little flies, smashing them both super hard right into the side of the building. The mermaid immediately points out that he absolutely brought the bad luck as the monster's single eye locks onto them. The real chase has officially started. While flying through the damn air, she starts asking him a question, basically begging to know if there is any way they survive. She is wondering how they beat this thing, but after a rough landing, Zaio Kai realizes she has completely blacked out. He checks on her, only to find her brain has completely short-circuited. Then she wakes up gasping, sporting brand new fangs. Our guy is totally confused by this, making the mermaid just sob in pure, absolute terror. Zaio Kai's brilliant response is screaming at her to stop. Real smooth dude. She tries denying it, clinging to some weird device on her chest, before having an immediate total meltdown, screaming with a hilarious chibai face. But suddenly, now watch closely because an absolute geyser of blue energy erupts, revealing a super buff merman, because why not? This ripped new form squares up against the monster, but inside their heads, Zaio Kai is floating in an underwater mindscape right beside her. She is honestly just as confused about this entire situation as him. He gently reaches out to stop her from panicking, surprised to realize that he can actually physically touch her in this space. She explains it is her skill and they have to fight. Taking a deep breath, she agrees to literally give it her all. Back in the real world, her chibai form celebrates. This power is completely real. Their new fused form declares they are stuck like this until the monster is absolute history. Zaio Kai's half of the fusion tells the mermaid to stop crying. Solid advice, honestly, because the monster is totally ready for round 2. The merman form charges in swinging a pure water sword, only to get a nasty surprise when the massive attack completely fails to connect. He winds up for a heavier strike, targeting the incredibly obvious weak point, stabbing his water blade straight into the beast's giant ugly eye. But the attack just bounces right off. It is completely impenetrable. Meanwhile, inside his head, the mermaid randomly asks if this fusion means they are having a baby. This hilarious mental breakdown short-circuits their shared body, letting a massive tentacle swat them straight into a brick wall. Absolutely terrified, the mermaid calls him husband and asks if he is okay. While their physical form is pinned against a wall gasping for air, he manages to stand. Blue energy sparks around him, and a wave of pure power seemingly heals the damage. Back in their shared mindscape, she shyly calls him husband one more time. So Zio Kai deadpan tells her to use his name, while she frantically apologizes. She is convinced this is all her fault and bursts into tears. We get a flashback of her childhood, called a jinx, abandoned by her own village while denying everything. Even her own mother looked at her wondering if she caused their absolute ruin. You and I both felt that, right? A whole childhood apologizing for existing. So in their mindscape, Zio Kai gently wipes her tears, saying none of this is her fault. She is a victim too. With that settled, he says send him back. He flashes a confident smile, promising this monster is an absolute piece of cake. Back in actual reality, their fused form gets ready. Ready to deliver on that promise, he summons a massive spear of pure concentrated water energy, launching it with insane force straight at the beast. The spear flies dead center. Aiming straight for the monster's open mouth, a flawless shot down its ugly flower throat, he watches it sink in, totally expecting a massive monster-ending explosion. But instead, a sneaky tentacle shoots out and snatches him right out of the air, dragging their fused body violently toward the beast's giant open jaws. As teeth snap shut, she screams they are eaten. Trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. Let's jump right in, mate. Down in the monster's belly, his merman form is somehow fine. He is swimming through gross stomach acid, dodging these massive, twisted parasite worms. Nasty stuff. He calmly points out the little beast inside, while she is absolutely gagging at everything around them. And yeah, these creepy crawlies are absolute grade A nightmare fuel. Throwing up a water shield, he barely blocks a lunging worm and straight up admits things are looking pretty grim right now. Our lad is free falling through this twisted horror tunnel, realizing the monster's guts totally have him outnumbered. Absolute madness. While fighting for survival, his mermaid half is just screaming about how bloody terrifying this is. So he unleashes a massive wave to wash away the immediate threats. His chibi form gets a quick reality check, crying but winning. Then she apologizes again, making Zio Kai wonder why she is constantly saying sorry. Cue a childhood flashback. A harsh woman is properly screaming at her for causing trouble yet again. Tough watch. The poor little girl begs for forgiveness, promising to be good, but the woman brutally warns her that bad kids get punished, no exceptions. Her punishment, crying alone on a freezing stone floor before getting locked inside a pitch-black, isolated cell. Top-tier parenting. Back in the present, she reaches out for a memory of Zio Kai, but the vision shatters. Left alone and terrified, she starts apologizing all over again. Suddenly a hand offers her a glowing pink pearl. She looks up, completely gobsmacked by the kind gesture. It is Zio from when he saved her, bringing light to her darkness. She gives a shy, genuine thank you, and he plays it cool, acting like it is no big deal at all. Pay close attention now. Deep inside the beast, their fused form spots the target. Pure determination hardens his face. Why? He just found the monster's glowing, disgustingly squishy heart. His chibi form pitches the master plan. Cannot win outside, smash it from the inside. He is totally ready to wreck shop, but not before cheekily telling her she looks pretty when she smiles. Smooth. Inside the beast's belly, he summons a massive water spear. Twisting it into a high-pressure energy drill, he launches straight at the core, bouncing off the stomach walls like a trampoline to gain insane speed. He rams the spear right into the monster's weak point, causing a massive, blinding explosion of blue light. Outside, the giant beast starts convulsing violently. It is done. Its death spasms send the other two girls flying, while the whole creature thrashes in absolute agony. Suddenly, a massive energy drill bursts right through its head, and his merman form emerges from the bloody wreckage totally unharmed. He lands and casually waves at the girls like he just popped out for coffee. The girls cheer, proper buzzing about the win, but one of them stops dead, realizing something is wrong. Zio and the mermaid are still fused together. We both knew it was too easy. Internally, they are confused by this glitch, and our lad feels weird trapped in this merman body. Pink hair confirms the fusion should have ended naturally after the monster kicked the bucket. This leads Zio Kai to a horrifying conclusion: that massive beast is still alive somewhere. Even though it looks like dead, broken ice chunks, the mermaid half panics, begging her hubby to fix it, while the other girls are completely shocked by that husband reveal. Cut to a bit later. Their fused form is chilling in a sterile medical pod. The girls watch through the glass, one of them holding a tablet. The white-haired girl looks properly uncomfortable with how close the redhead is standing. She brushes it off, saying the tablet girl, Chiyu, is totally harmless anyway. Pink hair teases that good boys need rest, making the redhead blush furiously as she tries to explain her team is just super affectionate. Banter. On screen, Chiyu waves goodbye to go rest, but her face suddenly drops in pure shock as she calls out for her brother. And inside the pod, a single tear rolls right down Zio Kai's cheek. The redhead smashes the intercom, demanding answers. White hair lets the scientist into the room, where the doctor drops the official diagnosis for our fused patient. He concludes Zio Kai is a low-level marker, and they have absolutely zero data on the mermaid he is stuck to. Dismissing the doc, she stares back at the pod, asking the fused form if he is actually crying over the mermaid. And he openly admits it. Her crying literally triggered his own tears. Inside their shared mindscape, he is back in his normal body, asking what is wrong since they were just chatting strategy. She apologizes yet again, saying this enclosed space is bringing back terrible memories. We will see what happens next. He promises to break the fusion and says send him out. Right, mates, let's unpack this mental connection madness with the lab girls. The white-haired girl asks if the mindscape is his power. He just sobs out a cheeky maybe while crying his absolute eyes out. The redhead chips in, saying weird powers are standard for sirens. Running a proper body scan, she wonders if their mind fusion just got way deeper. But the white-haired one reckons sirens are an evolutionary step back. Even top-tier humans show animal traits during a bloody good scrap. They are currently handling this totally unprecedented fusion with Chiyu the siren, which sparks the redhead into explaining her brilliant theory. Pay attention here, the fusion sticks because she is primal. The redhead reckons if they turn the siren back human, the whole fusion will finally snap. On the tablet, Zio Kai tells his sister Chiyu to stop worrying and rest up. She says bye, nagging him to eat well before logging off. The call ends and Chiyu completely flops over. She is absolutely knackered, thinking she is just dragging her poor brother down no matter what. Suddenly, a tiny moth fairy rocks up offering a wipe. Drying her tears, she actually wonders if he would be way happier without her around. Cut to a sunny day. Redhead walks with a bawling Zio Kai. Trust me, you and I are gonna love what happens next. Stick with me here. Some random guys spot him and start gossiping about domestic violence, and the redhead thinks this is absolutely hilarious, pointing it out. And he just laughs through his tears, admitting it really does look completely awful. She complains the other two girls totally ditched them with this mermaid problem. She remembers the white-haired girl bolting for family drama right before the pink-haired one ran off because her squad needed her. Back in the present, Zio admits their excuses were super sketchy. She totally agrees, saying it honestly feels like they were dodging something on purpose. Watch closely with me. A slick black car pulls up to the curb, literally rolling out a red carpet. Naturally, a guy in a suit steps out, leaving them both completely speechless. But Suit Guy is just the driver. The main guy steps out. A tough older dude radiating absolute boss energy, acting like he owns the entire street. He grabs Shocky by the neck, getting right in his face. He leans in for what looks like a kiss, terrifying our boy, way too close for comfort. Personal space is definitely important. Zachai clenches his fist, calls the creep a pervert, and throws a massive punch to make him back off. But I know you didn't see this coming. Mid-swing, he suddenly screams out, "Dad." Stick with me here. The punch stops, leaving our guy totally frozen. The old man starts happy crying. Zio calls him dad again, and the guy yells out for his daughter. Yep, he totally thinks Zio is the siren. Through all those dramatic tears, Zio actually checks if this is Lan Yuan's father, which the old man quickly confirms. So Uncle Lan just dives straight into an emotional hug, completely ignoring the redhead. Zio tries explaining the whole daughter situation, but Dad says he already knows. they head home, which turns out to be a ridiculously massive mansion, because of course it is. Inside, Zio asks how she got kidnapped. Flashback time. Turns out she literally just ran away and got completely wasted by herself. Zio is completely speechless at this absolutely pathetic villain origin story. Walking with the redhead, the dad confirms the mission is super simple. Just undo the fusion, and then he drops his big master plan. Now watch closely. Zio just needs to survive whatever is inside this creepy purple portal. Our guy is understandably confused. How does a trial fix a fusion glitch? But Dad explains that winning will help his daughter control her powers, completely breaking their magic link. And Zio just rolls with it. He accepts his new job as a walking cheat code for this girl's personal side quest. Meanwhile, Dad is putting all his faith into a random kid he literally just met. The instructions are super basic. It is a siren trial, so just touch the door to enter. When Zio suggests maybe taking a second to prepare, the dad just brushes him off. We all know this is a terrible idea, right? But he touches that swirling vortex of doom and boom, immediately sucked into the glowing portal, leaving the redhead to awkwardly comment on the dad's fresh batch of tears. Such a classic family trait. Inside, they are in a super creepy underwater cave, and the siren admits she never actually dared to try this. All she knows is this trial has 3 stages, which honestly is not reassuring at all. While he checks out the scenery, the water starts glowing with impossible fire. It explodes into an absolute underwater inferno, because anime physics are clearly optional here. Now he is literally sprinting through flames while giant sharks swim right above him. Just a perfectly normal Tuesday. He figures this first stage has to be a physical endurance test. Right before a massive glowing battle axe flies straight at his head. Crazy, right? Stick with me here, because his eyes just flew wide open, realizing what this crazy trial is actually about. He dodges right in time as the axe smashes the floor behind him, only to see a massive volley of magical weapons heading straight for his face. Right, stick with me here. Zhao just sprints through this underwater death trap, leaping through explosions like it is absolutely nothing, and pushing off the ground with proper ridiculous strength, barely keeping ahead of that crazy magic weapon spam. Looking well cheeky, he thinks it is just a stamina test. A second later, he is panting, but proper proud he passed stage 1. Inside his head, the siren is totally swooning over her amazing hubby, while Zio desperately denies any sort of romance happening. Back in the trial, a massive whirlpool suddenly forms right underneath his feet, while the water itself starts gathering into a humanoid shape, and our bloke correctly guesses the next test is fighting himself. A perfect water clone of his fused form pops out from the depths, instantly whipping up water tendrils and giving him a cheeky taunt. But X-How just crosses his arms, finding this entirely hilarious. This copycat attacks first, throwing a whip right at his face, and he casually catches it one-handed. 0 effort. Smirking, he asks his watery twin if that is all he has got to show. But the clone just grins back, clearly baiting a trap, because the whip in his hand suddenly freezes into razor-sharp ice. Then it dissolves back into water, leaving him completely exposed. Now watch this carefully. The clone traps him in a massive underwater vortex, dragging Zachai through the spinning currents. But he just powers right through, diving straight at his watery twin with a look saying this fight is absolutely done, while his clone just stands there waiting for the hit. Our bloke turns into a literal human torpedo rocketing forward. Packing a punch with some major knockout power, he lands a direct hit right on the clone's jaw, shattering it instantly into a massive splash. Just like that, the watery copy is gone. Inside his mind, the siren is already celebrating another brilliant win. Meanwhile, Zacha just floats there glowing, looking like an absolute badass. Suddenly, the siren herself pops back into physical form. She reaches out to touch his face, totally shocked they can interact now. Right at that moment, the whole cavern shifts into a massive sunlit hall. Her face instantly drops into pure terror, leaving Zio-kai asking what the bloody hell is wrong. Gripping his shoulder, looking proper terrified, she explains that this place is actually one of her memories. An illusion for the next trial. He just looks around, saying it does not look all that dangerous. Looks deceive, right? She is already crying, hating this trip, as Zacha confirms this is the third trial. Her memory drags them to a massive, empty, super creepy ballroom. There, a younger version of her is apologizing to a hooded old lady. And yes, this auntie flashes the absolute most terrifying smile ever, asking what she did wrong, leaving the kid stuttering in fear. A close-up of her eye confirms this nanny is absolutely mental. She grabs the kid, yelling about her wanting other nannies. Proper possessive behavior. She yanks her into a hug, swearing she is the only one who truly loves her. In a well-dodgy mood swing, she sweetly asks what the kid wants for lunch. Before Lanwin can even answer, the nanny just decides on veggies. Back in his mindscape, the real Lanwin says this illusion is just unbearable to watch. So X-High steps right into the memory, telling the nanny to let the kid speak for herself. This old lady just flashes a cheeky smirk, completely unfazed by him, and then bursts into full-blown maniacal laughter. Never a good sign, she brushes the kid off, saying a brat knows nothing, right before a dark purple aura explodes from her back. It is monster time. Massive shadowy wings sprout out, completely ripping her clothes to become a hideous harpy ready to brawl. Lanwin just stares in absolute shock at her nanny's true form. This harpy nanny attacks straight away, firing a barrage of glowing purple projectiles. So X-High charges up that spinning water magic orb in his hand, getting ready to unleash it. Looking absolutely fed up with this whole dodgy situation, Auntie San just screams that she is the only one who truly loves Lan Huan. But the real Lan Huan steps forward, saying that is not love. A flashback confirms her childhood was purely imprisonment and toxic manipulation. Trust me, you'll love this part, she tells the monster. Plenty of people love her now. Let's dive right in. Zio Kai turns completely red, clearly not expecting to make the cut. Then she grabs his hand, loudly declaring him as her husband, leaving our guy completely speechless. That crazy nanny goes full psycho, threatening to actually end him if he dares to touch her. She fires a massive energy blast right at them, smashing into the ground in a huge explosion of flying dust and steam. Zio Kai steps out of the smoke, shielded by water, looking furious. The nanny mocks him, sneering that mermaids only control water using their failings. She's basically trying to bait him into losing his temper, a classic villain move. She even bends the water around her to show off, but Zio Kai just smiles back, asking if she knows water can slice things too. Her demonic red eyes narrow with pure, unhinged rage. She lectures him about relying on others while he just stands there grinning, letting Lan Yuan softly ask if she can finally get angry now. Ready to unleash absolute hell, smirking, Zio Kai tells her it is finally her turn to take the lead. Watch this closely. Lan Yuan's eyes snap open, glowing fish symbols appearing. Time to face her trauma. She reaches out to confront that harpy nanny head-on, unleashing an absolutely massive water vortex right above the monster's head. Auntie San gets overwhelmed in a second. Sucked into the watery beatdown, the harpy screams one last time, pathetic ending. As the memory fades, Zio Kai gives her a comforting hug. That monster nanny completely dissolves into purple dust, gone forever and good riddance. And with the trial totally cleared, their fusion finally starts breaking apart. Her tail shifts back into legs in a bright flash of blue light, leaving Zio Kai back in his regular suit, holding a fully human Lan Yuan right in his arms. Our boy looks a little nervous about this whole situation. She cheerfully announces they passed the test, and Zio Kai instantly teases her, asking if she is finally done crying. She just smiles right back, telling him he is the reason she is not crying anymore. Then boom, they are suddenly back in the main hall, with her dad cheering them on from below. It is an instant, tearful reunion, complete with literal heart eyes. Her dad just drops to the floor, holding his daughter in a desperate hug. Meanwhile, the butler congratulates Zio Kai on passing 3 whole trials, leaving him super confused. The guy clears it up, there were only 2. Dad literally just lied because 3 sounded cooler. Zio Kai realizes the trial was literally her childhood nightmare. I know what you are thinking, was that harpy nanny an actual demon or just an illusion? Suddenly her dad grabs him, flashing a massive thumbs up. Approving their marriage on the spot, the butler notices the master's joy, while Lan Yuan is a total blushing mess. Her dad gets all mystical, claiming their souls were destined to meet. Zio Kai just listens, probably thinking this is moving way too fast. The old man then winks at him, telling them to just get along for now. Our guy looks at Lan Yuan, who still seems completely flustered by all this nonsense. He just drops a simple okay, probably to make the dude shut up. And this, of course, makes Lan Yuan glow with joy, but Zio Kai stays in business mode, asking about that third trial they just faced. Her dad insists his wife said there were only 2 trials, claiming she would never tell a lie. Taking the hint, Zio Kai says he really needs to head out, since his sister is waiting for him. The old man instantly cuts him off. He mentions his sister is not doing well, and some Sun family is now handling her medical treatment. Promising a later visit, Zio Kai says a quick goodbye and heads to his car, looking deeply troubled. They wave goodbye, telling him to return soon. Inside his car, though, his mind is racing, too many mysteries. Starting with that weird auction, he is connecting the dots about the mermaid sold to the Lan family. The biggest question, why was the trial door in his house? He stays stuck on that harpy nanny, wondering if she was actually real, but he decides to just drive, tackling one existential crisis at a time. The very next day, he is greeted by a girl in a frilly pink dress, peak corporate uniform clearly. She is here to give him a tour of Group S and get him fully onboarded. Leading him into a massive, packed facility, she proudly announces they are famous for their power armor and combat training. Their training is basically high-speed aerial combat inside a giant, super futuristic hangar. Armored fighters clash with glowing swords. His guide points like it's a theme park. Trust me, you'll want to see what's next. Let's dive in. She helpfully adds a barrier will stop them from getting sliced. Right on cue, a green-haired director Luo rolls up and completely shuts the whole exercise down. The 2 fighters touch down, though the chick in orange looks totally ready for round 2. This director instantly starts flirting with Zio Kai, calling him handsome. Our boy drops a deadpan hello, 0 interest. He is way more focused on the dude in the blue suit, radiating absolute power. An instructor asks if Zio wants to test drive the armor, but he is hesitating. Director Luo pushes the issue, getting super bold and promising it is easy. Flashing a smile, he finally agrees to test this toy. He steps onto the platform, casually asking what is next, and boom, instantly trapped. Turns out, this whole thing is a massive surprise ambush interview. His comms go completely dead. He is completely cut off from all backup. Now pay attention here. An air blast shoots him straight up, launching him over a massive mountain range like a literal human cannonball. He desperately tries his comms again mid-flight, absolutely nothing. They are still completely jammed. And he seriously wonders where this wild ride is actually taking him. Then his eyes lock onto something in the distance. A massive, top-secret experimental base just chilling out there, floating in the sky. A full-blown secret villain laboratory, because yeah, of course it is. He crash lands inside and an armed welcoming committee immediately greets him. Zio instantly scans the room, sizing them up to check the threat level. A sharply dressed woman introduces herself as the Group S director, all fake smiles. Now rocking a fresh outfit, he demands to know why they aggressively kidnapped him. She just smirks, claiming she is here to help. The director brings up his combining issue and offers a sketchy partnership to solve it. So Zio Kai plays it incredibly cool, admitting her offer sounds super tempting. He follows her deeper into the facility, straight toward a sealed door. All while silently wondering if his crew will ever find him inside this crazy fortress. She explains this place handles pattern ascension for ordinary folks, and that specific buzzword definitely grabs his attention. Showing a cute little diagram, she explains how training can seriously boost anyone's power level. The director casually mentions this ascension process usually drops people straight into a coma, just a minor detail. Plus, for most people, their power level is permanently locked at birth. It is basically a ruthless cosmic lottery. You and I both see where this is going, right? They want to exploit his combining ability. Flashing a smug little grin, she confirms he is dead right, totally impressed by his fast brain. But he is already thinking this whole shiny setup feels way less like real science and more like a massive, sketchy crime scene. So our boy calls her out, pointing out that legit science usually skips the whole kidnapping part. Some nerdy scientist dude just stands there in the background, being absolutely zero help at all. Meanwhile, his pink-haired guide is already deploying goons to keep Director Luo distracted. Zio knows his sudden vanishing act is the perfect signal for everyone to make a move. Classic, the director just tells him to stop stalling since he is completely trapped in here anyway. And a bulky guard packing a massive gun strongly encourages him to keep walking. Very persuasive argument. They stroll past a twisted gallery of test subjects trapped in tubes, including a literal cat girl and some weird goblin. Revealing this entire hallway is basically a straight-up horror movie of highly unethical science experiments. 5-star facility, right? One of the cat girls actually gives him a cheerful little wave from her creepy science prison. So he demands to hear what she is trying to say, and the director just goes, sure. But she casually writes the girl off as a totally failed product, pure corporate villainy right there. The director hands him a tablet to talk. Probably as some sick psychological test. On the screen, the little girl's face pops up, innocently asking if he called. Then she asks if the big brother finally came to take her home. Man, my heart just completely shattered. She cries that the treatments hurt so bad and she misses her mom. Absolute peak tragedy unfolding here. This little kid just sobs about going home, while her powers suddenly start going completely haywire. Right on cue, the director coldly orders an overload elimination, corporate human resources at its absolute finest. Through the tablet, Zio desperately promises he will take her home, and for one single, gut-wrenching second, she completely believes him. Then boom, a brutal energy beam blasts straight through her chest as a guard executes the order. Elimination fully complete. That is where we leave it. As Zio watches in pure horror, she slumps over. Another failed experiment. Alright, stick with me. Zio Kai is absolutely seeing red. He lunges straight at the director. She stays totally calm, claiming the little girl should be proud. Why? Because being a noble sacrifice for human evolution is good. What a humanitarian. Surrounded by guards, Zio Kai asks, shouldn't a sacrifice be voluntary? But she just smiles. They signed contracts and took the money, so it is all perfectly legal. Getting way too close, she calls him unique, admitting his kidnapping was totally an accident. Then she tries sweet-talking him, asking what he wants to just drop the whole thing. In response, our boy presses a glowing sword right against her neck, telling her to freeze. But the director, she just flashes the creepiest smile ever, not scared at all. He demands to know what is funny. Reminding her this laser sword is very real, she just sighs, saying it is a real shame he refuses to play nice and cooperate with them. Her face twists into this demonic grin, calling him way more valuable than the others. And that bombshell hits Zio Kai hard. His eyes shoot wide open in pure shock at what she just said. With the blade literally on her neck, she just smiles and calls herself useless. Yeah, definitely not the reaction he was expecting to get. And then she just yanks the blade away, barely bleeding at all. Leaving Zio Kai totally speechless. He is probably rethinking his entire life plan right before the guards swarm in and pin him down. While he screams that she is completely insane, this director just smirks. She tells him his biggest problem is being way too nice. So he snaps back, asking if turning into a literal monster is the only way to evolve. But she leans in closer, claiming this is all for the future of humanity. Typical villain waffle, right? Then she literally stabs a syringe right into his neck to prove it. His eyes go wide as the drug hits him instantly. 2 of her massive goons just drag him away, leaving him completely helpless. They drag him toward a massive sealed door, guarded by more heavy hitters with huge guns. Next thing you know, he is hooked up to a ton of wires while they scan his data. Now watch closely here. Strapped to a chair, they announce a brutal pain tolerance test. Human resources is really outdoing themselves today. Our boy barely chokes out a weak wait before they flip the switch, sending a massive jolt of electricity surging through his entire body. A scientist in the corner just calmly tells his assistant to log all the data correctly. You know, for science, obviously. when suddenly a giant boot kicks into the room, pausing the torture. The guards instantly start panicking, demanding to know who the heck just broke in. Even Zio Kai looks up mid-torture to see who crashed the party. It is the guy in the blue suit, asking why he still chooses to side with the humans. Zio Kai stares at the newcomer, trying to recognize him. Then, with just one snap, our boy is suddenly freed from the chair, looking totally confused. His two torturers are just dead on the floor now, and the white-haired bloke casually admits that, yeah, he is the one who did it. So Zio Kai, definitely having seen enough for one day, just says bye and walks away, but his mysterious savior grabs him, practically begging to chat. Fine, Zio asks who he is and how this connects to his powers, but the guy gives him absolutely nothing, dodging every single important question. Let's pause for a second. Getting zero answers, Zio Kai just thanks him and leaves again. They stand there in the most awkward silence imaginable, until the white-haired guy kicks the torture chair out of frustration. He instantly regrets it, grabbing his foot in pure pain, so tough. Right then, another non-human shows up just to mock his absolutely terrible kicking form. The first guy complains that Zio is still on humanity's side. His mate points out it is just because he was raised by them. Simple as that. He is super confident that once Zio sees the dark truth about people, he will come running back to their side, whatever that actually means. But suddenly, loud alarms start blaring all over the facility. An experiment escaped. Guards start sprinting down the hallway to handle the massive breakout. With sirens blaring everywhere, one guard spots Zio Kai and screams to capture him. And our boy just stands there totally frozen, while the whole facility hits max alert. He is trying to figure out what the heck is happening, when suddenly, every single test subject pod in the corridor just shatters, unleashing all of the completely failed experiments right into the hallway. A guard instantly starts screaming for backup. Containment has officially failed, and he is having an absolute panic attack over the radio. Total professional. These escaped freaks charge forward as guards open fire, their minds seemingly screaming one single, totally savage thought: just kill. But you and I hear the truth. Zio hears their pain, fear, crying for mom. Stick with me here, you are about to see pure chaos. They surround him, realizing he is healthy, their final hope, chanting in pure desperation. Let him go home. These poor souls charge the guards, trying to clear a path for our guy, getting ruthlessly gunned down in brutal laser fire. And look who shows up just in time for the absolute massacre. The director, even while being totally wiped out, they keep pushing forward for him. Zio Kai's eyes flash gold, literally absorbing all their final willpower and utter desperation. This director pulls an ugly face, finally realizing his combination skill is way more insanely powerful than she ever thought. Fueled by their sacrifice, he grabs her in a flash. For the first time, she looks genuinely terrified, struggling helplessly inside his iron grip. His face is pure rage mode, but some weird invisible force just slaps his hand right off her neck. Zio Kai's eyes burn with raw, unleashed power. He throws a punch that looks ready to level the entire room, sending every single guard flying like ragdolls with one move. More goons arrive. They instantly open fire with a storm of lasers, which our boy casually brushes off like absolute trash before one of them gets completely electrocuted. Total workplace hazard right there. The director just starts laughing, calling this disaster a fun surprise. She's practically drooling over his massive power boost while activating some crazy device. Now watch closely. Wasting absolutely zero time, she unleashes energy into a blinding blue light, revealing a full battle suit and a giant scythe for her final experiment. She dives at him like a predator, swinging that massive blade straight for his head. But Zio casually blocks it with a high kick, because of course he freaking can. Totally unfazed, she leaps into the air for a devastating strike. Their powers clash in a massive burst of energy, and the epic explosion rips straight through the facility's machinery. While she gets blasted backward, Zio grabs a piece of rubble, charging it with raw energy, instantly forming a golden energy shield to completely block whatever attack comes next. Then Zio unleashes a massive golden dragon of pure energy that strikes the director directly, swallowing her completely. And here's the wild part, we both see she actually loves this, laughing out loud at his insane power as the whole area just detonates. This leaves her smoking on the floor, still muttering about good data like a total pro. With the director down, Zio Kai lands looking determined, but instead of finishing her off, he flies right past, looking up to tell a bunch of other flying people to just leave peacefully. That is when a pink-haired girl drops down asking if he is okay, and our boy just stares up, completely lost in the moment before he turns right back toward the blazing facility he literally just escaped from. Totally confused, she follows him straight through the massive hole he made. Calling his name, she finds him cradling one of the test subjects, sadly apologizing for being too late. He tells the girl that after all this, he simply cannot join her group S, so she naturally asks what his next big move is gonna be. Zio-kai says he is targeting the Sun family for a friend's sake. Surprisingly, she does not look shocked at all, which feels super weird to him. She warns him they are a super creepy bunch, all weird masks and smelling like total decay. Then she asks if he found a new combination partner after that insane fight. He just closes his eyes and says no before starting to explain. So he explains by touching her, asking if she feels a connection right now. But he basically confirms that his Super Saiyan level power has completely vanished. She has zero idea what happened either, leaving them both totally baffled. That just makes her call him a mystery man, clearly very intrigued by him. So she offers to give him a ride to the Sun family, since that is her next stop anyway. At the door, they are greeted by a white-haired girl named Yuyan. The pink-haired girl quickly drops him off like a package, much to his absolute dismay. When asked if she is staying around, she says she needs to handle some business, specifically crushing a few parasites. Her face literally says it all. With a cheeky wave, she tells them to have fun. Zio immediately asks how this could possibly be fun, already feeling the terrible vibes. They walk into a hall to meet the family head, who has a whole annoying entourage waiting. This old man immediately demands Zio combine with Yuyan for a little demo, but our boy just flashes a confident smile, not even slightly bothered. Then he casually asks what happens if he just says no. So what do you and I expect next? Some random lackey instantly screaming about disrespect, because obviously. Stick with me, Zio Kai just cleans his ear, asking where that annoying barking is from. Before the lackey can completely blow up, the old man shuts him down with one single word. His genius new plan is just tossing Zio Kai into the testing grounds. Yuyan is absolutely horrified, blurting out that this creepy old geezer is her dad. Just as Zio Kai is about to walk away, the old man raises a hand to stop him, revealing he only came here for Yuyan's sake, but now his patience is completely gone. So Zio Kai flips him the universal sign for I quit pure class. He turns his back on a stunned Yuyan, totally ready to ditch this entire messy situation. But her father instantly orders a goon to arrange her marriage, and she looks like she just got handed a literal death sentence. Poor girl, Zio Kai grits his teeth, absolutely livid at this incredibly dirty power play, while the old man smugly mocks him for being useless if he cannot handle this. Then another snobby family member suddenly steps in. Claiming there is 0 point keeping a disloyal asset around, our boy is completely lost, asking what the heck they are talking about. This arrogant guy explains their original plan was just kidnapping him for his powers, or maybe just starting sick experiments on his little sister instead. You know, options. Apparently Yuyan ruined everything, because they thought she was some ambitious mastermind coming after the family fortune. But his genius diagnosis, she's just a love-struck girl acting totally stupid and foolish over some boy. With a super smug smirk, this guy decides to forcefully grant her wish. Now pay close attention here. They actually tell her to become a breeding tool. Absolutely disgusting, right, having heard enough of this trash. Zio Kai finally snaps. He turns to a shocked Yuyan, loudly calling her. All right, let's jump straight back in. The old geezer smiles, officially sending him to the testing grounds. They rock up to these massive doors, and our boy gets major deja vu, while Yuyan admits she hid some things from him. He just asks her why, with a surprisingly gentle smile. She is totally stunned by his zero anger. he finally realizes just how much she was doing for him behind the scenes. She gets super flustered, trying to play it cool, explaining that their bond actually worries her as she pulls him into a hug. We get a quick flash of all the times he almost got completely wiped out. So she admits she is terrified and asks for a proper hug, which completely short-circuits his brain. And the guard's brains too, but yeah, he totally goes along with it. He just asks for some privacy away from the crowd. These two goons instantly start chatting about the weather, absolute top-tier professionals. Now watch this part closely. He gives her the hug, but then she whispers a super cryptic warning right in his ear. "And our demon." While he is distracted, she secretly slides something into his pocket. He just steps back, flashing a confident smile, saying he will be fine. Then a guard ruins the vibe, announcing it is time to move. She turns around, wishing him luck on the test, and our boy gives a calm nod, totally ready for whatever comes next. With his back to her, Zio-kai tells her not to stress at all. He turns with a cheeky grin, promising that when he gets out, Yuyan just stares. You feel this too, right? They are going to tear down this rotten era together. A cool split-screen moment confirms they are entirely on the same page. She laughs and accepts, promising to wait for him. But for now, she tells him to keep his head in the game for the test, flashing one last smile to confirm she has his back. Turns out she has her own crazy battlefield to deal with, alongside some very familiar faces. And yep, she is rolling with a whole squad of girls ready to brawl. Meanwhile, Zio-kai enters the test, a dark hall with one glowing door. A voice from the light calls him and someone else entirely useless, and he recognizes that tone. His eyes instantly narrow. He knows exactly who that is, walking forward completely unfazed. Trust me, you aren't ready for this. Stick with me here. Meanwhile, this dodgy new white-haired bloke watches, wondering how many inner demons he can stomach. You see it too, a totally punchable face, just oozing pure wicked confidence. Now watch this. Suddenly the scene flips to a rainy night's first trial. A tiny lad is desperately begging his dad not to leave. Oh boy, you and I are diving straight into the trauma here. Just look at young Zachai holding his sister, completely gutted. Stick with me, mate. This bloke coldly says don't call me dad. Blimey, level 1 is straight up abandonment issues. You seeing this bloke's face, pure disgust as he calls them absolute muppets. Alright guys, stick with me, we are diving right into a seriously messed up memory. A little girl runs screaming for her dad, desperately clinging to his leg, begging him to stay. But he just shoots her a cold glare, completely ignoring her tears. She promises they will be totally good if he just stays. So he responds by violently grabbing her hair, snapping that being obedient does not make her less useless. A furious little Zio charges forward, yelling at him to let go, but just gets brutally kicked for defending his sister. Then this guy casually tosses the kid aside without even looking back, claiming he did his part just by raising them this long. What an absolute gentleman. Zio-kai is instantly by his sister's side, promising he is still there for her. She tries acting brave, telling him not to cry because she won't either. Our boy recognizes this nightmare scene. It is the exact memory of his abandonment, and he finally understands Yuyan's warning about facing inner demons. Suddenly, these memory versions of him and his sister undergo a really twisted transformation, and the creepy kids start blaming themselves for their dad actually leaving. Zio refuses to buy it. Now watch closely, this is where it gets crazy. He flat out calls the guy trash, but his demon sister argues they were weak, and the demons start closing in. She argues they got dumped because they were pathetic. A super great start for therapy. Then his demon brother shows up with a blade, also clearly hating conditional love. She starts floating around, screaming for mom and dad, completely drowning in all her childhood trauma. But Zio-kai fights back against the darkness, heavily insisting that they still have each other. He grabs her shoulders, trying to snap her out of this creepy guilt trip, firmly promising he will never leave because they are real family. For a split second, it actually works. Her eyes clear up and she is back to normal, right before her demon brother violently punches through her chest. Classic move, pinning down his sister. The little demon basically calls that touching speech an excuse for being totally useless. Then he blames Zio-kai for not being strong enough to make their trash dad stay. After that, the two kids just merge into a glowing red ball of pure guilt trip energy. This brand new combined demon charges straight at him with an energy blade. But while it mocks him for faking his death, Zio-kai whips out Yuyan's little gift. With a shout, he presents the glowing gem, telling the demon to take it. He sits there offering this shiny rock like some kind of weird peace treaty. Thinking it is a trap, the demon just sneers and forms its own blade. But the gem has a sharp edge of its own, firing a massive beam of light that blasts right through the demon's chest. So much for peace. Suddenly, a red-haired girl with a sword is standing over him, looking way too pleased. And her only explanation is that she will explain later, because of course she will. She casually asks if she is late. Crashing his childhood trauma exorcism, typical right. Her fiery energy seems to hit the little demon kid before she spreads these massive wings of fire, telling it to try her. Then she launches forward like a human phoenix missile. All of this reflects in Zio-kai's eyes as he finally snaps back to reality, leaving him sitting in an empty street next to his very confused rescuer. He looks up with serious determination, promising to protect his sister Killin no matter what. This triggers a super sweet memory of both kids getting head pats. But back in the proving grounds, he just keeps staring at the red-haired girl right before the ground underneath him completely shatters into pieces, sending them both plummeting down into whatever literal hell this trial has cooked up next. They crash land in a random street where she asks why his inner demon is tied to a shopping district. He instantly dodges, asking if she had diarrhea. Absolute conversation master. She just aggressively grabs his shoulder, clearly not amused by his terrible jokes, before she starts explaining exactly how she crashed his therapy session. Turns out Yuyan's gift was actually a homing beacon, literally a magic GPS for his soul, allowing another girl to channel her spirit and power straight to his location, while her real physical body is completely passed out in some bed. It is a real shame, she says only one person could be sent over, because if all 5 were there, they would be invincible. Zio-kai puts it all together, realizing Yuyan planned this rescue way in advance. Back with the girls, they confirm she has been scheming for a good while. Meanwhile, his fiery rescuer explains this was always the backup plan for his reckless behavior. She even teases him for playing the hero. Trust me, we are gonna love this. Meanwhile, a teammate chimes in, totally loving how flustered Yon got. Back at the trial, Zio just awkwardly coughs, desperately trying to hide his absolute embarrassment. Suddenly, a loud scream from the alley interrupts them, literally begging for a proper beatdown. So he instantly dashes off, making it crystal clear he is only out here to save his own skin. Turning the corner, they spot 3 thugs cornering a poor kid on the ground. Our boy recognizes him instantly. Yep, this is literally a painful memory of him getting bullied. His rescuer is absolutely furious, flat out refusing to just stand around watching. She winds up and throws a massive punch at one bully, but it goes right through his chest. They are not actually there. Her momentum carries her straight past the illusion. The fake bully does not even flinch, leaving her super annoyed that she cannot interfere with the memory. Zio calmly confirms that her crazy powers are completely useless here. Top-tier moral support. Her response to that helpful tip, she starts glowing with pure rage, unleashing a massive, fiery explosion over the entire scene. The memory bully desperately tries blocking it, mentioning some high mark power. Zio smirks and explains that these guys are absolutely terrified of her specific mark power. He says her mark can actually damage memories. Now watch closely what she does with that info. She flashes a wicked little smirk and goes full-blown Super Saiyan mode. Unleashing a blazing slash, she cuts right through those memory thugs. Then she dives in herself, totally ready to brutally erase this whole traumatic event. With a wild grin, she dumps all her power into the attack. Then she casually turns back, asking if he feels better after her aggressive therapy session. Her razor-sharp smile is, honestly, just a little bit terrifying. Suddenly, a dark silhouette punches him right in the gut. He stumbles backward hard as the girl calls out a totally different name, Chin Kai. The ghostly figure finally reveals itself, dropping a sharp knife onto the floor as a twisted favor. A super edgy shadow version of himself picks it up, totally convinced all high marks are pure evil. Zio instantly rejects that messed up logic, remembering his true friends are high marks currently fighting for their lives. His inner demon accuses him of betraying his own past, pointing the knife straight at him. Then it just breaks down crying over how horribly low marks got hunted. This kid has a literal wall of trauma monsters up here. We can all feel that pain, right? His younger self thinks changing the whole world is the only fix. But our boy offers a completely different path, flexing his own power and trusting his loyal comrades. Just then, a mysterious woman in a red hood literally spawns out of nowhere. Zio's face honestly says it all. He is definitely not ready for another guest at his trauma party. His inner child demands to know if she is a comrade or a wife. A fair question, mate, but Red Hood just blushes, admitting she has zero clue why she is wearing that outfit. Her eyes sparkle with a sudden memory as she whispers, "Yuan Yuan." That triggers a super cute vision of a blue-haired girl sending him a lovely little heart. His toxic inner demon mocks him, claiming he is just being used. But Zio reaches out, choosing to believe her. He grabs her hand, finally realizing that trust is basically the key to this entire fight. A new horned guy appears, and trust me, you are going to love seeing him smash some demons. Madness.